Good evening. Welcome to episode number 27 of Sri Lanka's first LinkedIn live talk show, Cinnamon Chat with Amita. It's a special day today because LinkedIn has rolled out a feature globally where when someone goes live, the live video will be coming on the cover background picture. Instead of the picture, you will have you talking, your live video will be on that. So I'm experiencing it today. I think 2 3 days ago they rolled it out around the world. I'm so happy to experience it few days after rolling it out. So it's a great thing, great feature. Thank you very much, LinkedIn, for rolling out such a beautiful feature which no other platform could offer. And talking about my LinkedIn Live talk show, I started this about, let's say, 27 weeks ago. And at the very beginning, one or two episodes, I did it all by myself. And then I decided, no, it's time that I add value to my network, which is 15,000 plus connections. And I decided to bring in experts from various industries to create value for my friends, my LinkedIn family. And I'm simultaneously broadcasting this on Facebook and on YouTube. So those whoever is joining with us today from Facebook, LinkedIn, and also from YouTube, welcome. So talking about myself, as you know, my name is Amita Gamage. I am an executive coach. My clientele is more or less C-level executives when it comes to coaching. I'm also a personal branding strategist, and I help B2B organizations achieve their sales goals by working with their sales teams. And I'm a LinkedIn marketing expert too. And today, it's a very important topic. One reason is whether we like it or not, the COVID-19, the third wave is around here in Sri Lanka, in India. So we see that organizations, kids going back to social distancing, online learning, online meeting, working from home, etc. And then we were talking about education, skills for a very long time. And then the imports of all those things are more today. And the gentleman that I have invited today, it's a very important organization when it comes to information and communication technology related skills, as well as he is a veteran and expert in the information and communication technology industry in Sri Lanka. So let me invite this gentleman to the stage. Good evening, Chintaka.
Good evening, Amita. Nice
Thank
to
you
see
very
you.
much. Yes, thank you very much for joining to add value to our audience.
Thanks. Thanks for inviting.
I have a long list of questions to ask you. I want to ask you certain things about yourself. And of course, I also want to ask you a lot of things about the industry, what you do with ICT Skill Council. So let's go to yourself first. I need to catch Chintaka first.
I guess
So,
it's personal. Understood.
yes, yeah, because there are a lot of youngsters who watch this, not only today, even at latter days, they go through the replay and they learn. I share some of the snippets of the videos with my network. And so we learn from each other. So the first question is a little bit about your younger person, school time, education. You would have been heavily involved in education, I guess, with the amount of work what you do today. Want to talk about a little bit about your younger age?
I still believe that age is only a number and still young at heart. Okay, Okay, getting down to my college days, I studied at St. Thomas's, Mount Lavinia, and then once I came out of college, then thought of following a computer course. Those days, I mean DPAs, and that was in 1982. Since then, I've been in computers, so you can see how long I've been in computing. Right.
Yes.
So then I thought maybe, I mean, the dream at that time was to go to US and get a degree. So I pursued my dream. That's to go to USA. That was in 1984. I went down to USA, and that's where I mean, it was a turning point in my life. I mean, here, a guy who was so close to the parents goes to a foreign country, then got to start life all over again. I would say that was something that I'll never forget, because I mean all the hardship that I had to go through. I mean, my father was a government servant, so with that, I would say, I mean, has to face society, has to then learn about the education system there all over again. I mean, I studied in the Sinhalese medium here, got to follow all my classes in English, and that is I would say that's a very interesting point in my life, and that made me to where I am, because I had to survive. I had got to be a survivor. I mean, there were days, I can tell you, I mean, my working and education took me 20 hours of my day. So I used to start work at 2 o'clock in the morning, then my campus life, another 8 to 9 hours. So basically 20 to 21 hours, 365 days. This is the kind of dedication that I have done towards to be where I am. So I mean, that was very interesting. I mean, I can write books and books about those 9 years of education.
So, uh, didn't you feel like giving up? Just
No,
curious.
not really, because then I went to California State University, Long Beach, then part of UCLA. Then also I was working there with a program called the Extended Opportunity Program with the minorities. So I mean, that's a lot of knowledge that I gained, and so someday I thought I should come back to Sri Lanka and help. I mean, we Sri Lankans. But one thing that I would tell you is, I mean, I was very close to my family. I was very close to my parents. So that was the thing that brought me back to Sri Lanka.
Yeah. So, you studied, you got yourself qualified, and you did your degree, and then you came to Sri Lanka. Yeah. So, what happened after coming to Sri Lanka? Did you get into IT trade or did you get into a job?
No, I was really interested in IT. So then once I came down here, I thought I must now, the environment has changed. I mean, so at first I thought of gaining some experience. I mean, I might have the academic qualifications, but that don't mean anything because I don't have the local experience working with the industry. So I mean, I joined Ames, worked there for about 6 months. I learned about the industry, and then I tried to go on my own, because then I knew about the industry and I got a good footing, I would say, and then thought that's the time for me to be innovative. Got married, then started lecturing at the University of Sri Jawadarapura for a
Wow.
couple of years, right? Then that's the beginning of Sala.
Okay. So you started Sala Enterprises, and we all know Sala Enterprises was in the forefront of introducing a lot of tech gadgets, I would say, to Sri Lanka. That we, especially branded ones, while you have so many other shops selling various other things on, you sell something today, next day you sell something else. Whereas Sala was more or less paying attention to bringing the same branded quality stuff to the market. So let us know some of the tech introductions made by Sala to the local market. If you can recall, such a long period, but I'm sure there would have been some important ones. Before that, Chintaka, let us say hi to few of our friends who visit us all the time. So we have Upul. Good evening, Upul. And we have Satyaraj. Thank you, Satyaraj, for joining. Roshan. Okay. Roshan, hi, Roshan. Thank you for joining. We have Amjad. Amjad, thank you very much for joining. As usual, Tamit, who always join us. And then we also have Gayan, another top educator in the country, who is serious about all these skills, doing a lot of great work in building skills of the youngsters in this country. So, Gayan, thank you very much. This conversation is important for you. And so I ask you about some of the introduction made by Sala Enterprises to the local IT industry here.
I mean, it was my passion to come up with technology. I mean, technology was my passion. It's
Yeah.
more than money. I enjoyed working with gadgets. So, I mean, to start off where I left off, Sala, I mean, once I came from States, then after being working in the industry for about 6 months, then I thought, okay, I should start from where my hometown is, Sala, Koskama. So then I want to be very unique. I mean, people ask me, how come, I mean, when other people put different names like text this, text that, you were different. I mean, you put Sala, something very unique. I mean, it don't make sense. I said, yeah, that is true. Because this is what I wanted people to talk about. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of times people ask me, what's the meaning of Sala? I came from the village of Sala, so I called it Sala. And then, I mean, I would never repent that because this is the first thing that I could talk about, the name. So that is how it all got started from Sala, Koskama once I came from States. And thereafter, we were appointed the distributor for ProLink, the Hyundai. We were the distributor, and we are talking about the time. I mean, hard disk was a luxury. I mean, you are talking about XT machines. We are talking about 3.5 to 5.25 floppy drives.
Floppy.
I don't know how many youngsters today would know what a 3.5 floppy drive and a 5.25 is, and where you
True.
would on the computer and go to the toilet by the time still it's booting, and you boot with the floppy drive. So these are the days that we got started. Those are good old days, right? So just to recall, so that was my beginning really. So that was with ProLink and Hyundai. Then after that we started assembling our own PC called Pride. I mean,
Wow.
the thing, Pride, yeah, that was, we were assembling all our PCs. So we went with the brand name Pride. And at that time, still I remember, we had to educate the customer as to what to buy. I mean, people didn't know, I mean, what kind of hard disk or, I mean, what kind of floppy drive they needed, what is a different XT machine, the 286s and so on. So we had to explain. And then we used to tell them, you buy this. But today, if you ask a youngster, they come and teach us what they want. And I mean, they're very much educated than that time. So that is the difference. Internet has changed things. I mean,
Everything.
today the customer demands. It's not that we tell them what they should buy. So
Yeah.
I mean, I was just going back to the past, and then I can still remember commercially we were the first company to introduce the pen drive, the digital
Oh,
camera,
okay.
the scanner keyboard. I can still remember bringing the 4 MB. I'm not talking about GB now. 4 MB pen drive and selling it for 5,000. I think it was 3 or 4,000 rupees, right, at that time. So this commercially we launched it. I still have those ads when I go back. It's very interesting to see starting with the 4 MB pen drive, and then we had to educate the people what is a pen drive. Right. Then started with working with Sri Lanka Telecom. With them, we started deploying the call ID unit to Sri Lanka. That was also another turning point in the history of Sala, because we managed to partner with SLT, and we are still working with SLT for the last almost 20 years. But also today we work with the other operators. I mean, So it was another story. And then we went into assembling notebooks. We started assembling one of the first laptops in Sri Lanka under the name of Fosa. We started doing
Interesting.
navigation to introducing navigation to Sri Lanka. This is way before Google came into Sri Lanka, right? So I'm
Yeah.
talking about developing the maps by ourselves, sending our riders, sending our drivers, and doing mapping the entire country at our cost, right? So these, I mean, when I turn back, look back, these are very interesting moments in my life. That I could be a part of it. Then we started working with the electronic dictionary. Because this is something that we introduced long time back, because we saw a great need for a dictionary and a spell checker. Because myself, though I was educated in US, I see sometimes, we can't remember our spellings. We need some
Yes.
tool. But of course, we are more British than British, I would say, because people laugh at, if your spellings are wrong. So I thought, okay, it's time to bring in a good tool for this. So that is why we started the electronic dictionary, where you can check your spellings and get the meanings. Then you have the thesaurus. When you put in a word, you get so many similar words. So that was another product that we launched to Sri Lanka. Then after that, we started improving on it. We even got the first talking dictionary, where we had Sinhala, Tamil, English, the translator. We put the word in English, and then pronounced in Sinhala and Tamil. And thereafter, we even went to the extent of getting 12 languages. Why 12 languages? Because we saw there was a great need for Sri Lankans who are going abroad for education, maybe for employment. They wanted to communicate, like especially one of our workers going down to Middle East, right? There is a language barrier, so we didn't
Yes.
want that to happen. Yes. So that is where we thought, okay, you type the word in Sinhala, you will get it in, Arabic. So where the employer would be able to understand what is, and the employer would put it in Arabic or maybe Korean, and then it will be translated to Sinhalese. So these are some of the, we have so many different other products that we have been working on. I think in the last 29 years that we have won over 30 local and international awards. We have been in the picture locally, and we have gone with some products internationally also. So then thereafter, now we have got into IoT and all that AI. So we'll talk about it later. So this is
Yeah.
a brief history of Sala.
Yeah. So I think it was great that I invited you to my show. I learned a lot of things today, yeah, about what you have done. So, in terms of Sala Enterprises growth and the journey, okay, let me ask you that question a little later. We have few people joining.
Yeah.
We have Sajani, and then we also have Douglas, and then Douglas says this: I worked in Sala during 2005 2007. When an ADSL customer buys ProLink router, Sala gets the installation, and I got to the customer site and do the installation. It was my first job. Douglas, thank you very much. Chintaka, you can recall?
Yes, this is part of the history. So I'm glad to see him on on board, and then also putting that comment, because this is something that I forgot to touch on. I forgot to touch on working. Initially launching ADSL with Sri Lanka Telecom, going to all their customer service teleshops and educating their customers on what ADSL, the benefits of ADSL. I mean, yes, that is in 2008. So thank you very much for recalling that.
Yeah, Douglas, it's a great moment, I would say. An ex-employee is talking to the boss here.
But Amit, I got to tell you, we have created in the last 29 years, there are some, end of the day, the best asset that a company can have is its employees. I got to tell you that. So our success, one pillar is definitely the employees. So some of the employees are not with us. I'm very happy to say them in all over Sri Lanka, even in outside Sri Lanka, doing extremely well. When I see them, I feel so proud. When I see so
Yeah,
proud, yeah.
yeah. Okay, thanks. So we also have Dr. Lasit, coming from Jawaharlal University. Congrats, Chintaka and Sala, for bringing down innovative IT products for the Sri Lankan market. I'm going to catch Dr. Lasit soon for a for for our talk show soon. So he would expect a call from me. So where is Sala Enterprises today? What do you do today? Are you still into gadgets? What kind of gadgets? Can we have some information about that as well?
Amita, we are now one of the top leading IT companies and communications companies in Sri Lanka, and we are mainly into distribution and solutions. So that is our forte. So we represent leading brands such as ProLink, Alcatel, Sonic Gear, eMark. eMark, I would say, is our local brand, because what we thought is we got to have our own local brand. So this is what we are trying to establish in Sri Lanka now. If you look at many products that are coming from Taiwan, they have their own local brand. In India, they have their own brand. So for Sri Lanka, we want to make a local brand. So that is eMark that we are doing. Then we are on the communication side. We are also the distributor for Linksys. Then
Okay.
we are also having the Sala ProSat, Loconav. So there are many other products that we are the sole distributor in Sri Lanka. So that is where we are today. And IoT and AI products are some of the products that we are working on right now. And we have our own smart IoT app, Sala Smart. So we have looked at 4 different areas when it comes to IoT. That is
Okay.
smart security. So on smart security, we have gone with the cameras, the smart sensors, the PR motion detectors, and the sirens. That is on the smart security. On automation side, we have gone into smart plug, the smart IR controller, and the smart socket. Then on smart lighting, we have gone into smart Wi-Fi switches, the bulbs, and the wall switches. So that is on the lighting side. Then on the smart gadgets, we have gone into the water leakage sensors. If there's a leak, then it will automatically alert your phone. The gas detectors, the smoke detectors, so all that. So all on the AI side. Sorry, on all on the IoT side.
IoT. Yes.
IoT, yes, we have done. And then to couple and to add value, we have gone with the Alexa voice control speakers. So where you
Wow.
can voice prompt it and it will on the switch. It will basically control the lights, you name it. I mean, all these devices that I talked to you about, the smart security, smart automation, smart lighting, smart gadgets, all that can be controlled by voice. So that is on the Alexa speaker
IoT.
control. Yeah, on
IoT
IoT.
side.
Yes. So from there now, our new thing is I have started doing a little bit of agriculture.
Oh,
Gone a little bit into planting myself. So it's becoming my hobby. So now I'm getting into smart agriculture.
agri-tech.
Agri-tech, yeah. So now my next step is to work on smart agriculture and some smart solutions based on agriculture and
Okay.
technology.
Yeah, super. So suppose this is an additional question. If another company who is into IoT solutions, if they talk to you to buy IoT based devices, do you still work that way?
Of course, Amita, I think the whole problem in Sri Lanka, we try to compete, right? I don't believe in competition. I believe in collaboration, right? There is enough and more room. There is no point for 2 companies to fight each other or 10 companies to fight. So what I believe is we collaborate, we join together, we develop it, right? Where we can give better solutions to Sri Lanka as well as the world. So this is what we should do. So if anyone wants to share their products with on our platform or on their platform, we are all open.
Super. That's a great news because I think for the industry to grow, the industry has to work together. So the
Definitely.
growth will be accelerated.
Yeah, because we all work in silos. I mean, if you look at this agriculture now, see how many agriculture apps are there. I mean, there was some time that we were discussing with the agriculture ministry. Then I mean, there were unheard of names, unheard of companies developing apps. But are any of those apps available today?
Existing today.
So why
Yes.
existing today? Yeah, why can't we collaborate, come into one understanding, and each one takes a different module or different path. I mean, we have so many different areas that we can collaborate and work.
True, true. Uh, Chetika, also, would you like to tell us a little bit more about your navigation and map products? You mentioned about it, but then we couldn't get into details.
Right, yes. Because in 2008 or 2009, that is when we saw great demand for GIS based products and GPS based products. So that is when we thought we didn't have a proper digital map. Of course, the survey department had, but we want to make it all digital. So we
Yes.
developed our own map because some of those didn't have the points of interest. Points of interest are maybe a fuel station, maybe the teller machines, maybe a public toilet, or points which are very important to us. So we managed to capture all those points of interest, and we captured over 150,000 points of interest and added onto the map onto different layers. So
And
this is some.
Chentaka, this would have been pre-Google Map era.
Oh yeah. This is way before Google came into the picture, right?
Okay.
So it was an interesting time because I mean we had to spend our own money and develop the map here, right?
Yes.
And then we had used, I mean, I wouldn't say primitive technology, the technology that was available at 2008, right? So
Yes.
then
Yes.
after that we managed to come up with the navigation device, and from that we managed to do in three languages: Sinhala, Tamil, and English. So let's say that you want to go from here to Kandy, the navigation you can not only in English, but we thought, okay, the driver might want be more, comfortable getting the directions in English, not
Yeah.
in Sinhala and Tamil. So they could definitely change the language and get the directions in that language. So I can still remember in 2008 going on to Rupohaini and explaining what GIS is all about and what is navigation all about. So always education has been a part of my life, right?
Interesting. So even today, if customers wants to buy navigation products for their vehicle, for their fleets, are they
Yes.
available?
Yes, what we call the PNDs, personal navigation devices, are available with us, and we run our own map. We run our own map. We still develop our map, and we are still. For the last 12 years, we have been still continuing. Then from that, we have gone into also the tracking. Tracking is, let's say that you have a fleet of vehicles or even your own vehicle. You want to see where that vehicle is. You want to see how much of petrol it has consumed. You want to see, now let's say that it's a freezer truck. You want to see the temperature on your mobile phone. You want to fix cameras. You want to have sensors. So all that is part of the navigation. So that is also something that we do now. We have partnered with a company called Loconav, and in partnership, the platform and it's our devices. So we are giving a total solution for tracking devices, tracking solutions. So what I would also like to emphasize there, Amita, we are selling our we're not selling, we are giving our data to other companies, getting it processed and bringing it to Sri Lanka, and losing out a lot of
Money.
revenue,
Revenue.
money. So
Yes.
why are we sending out money? Why can't we do it in Sri Lanka, right? So we can have a platform here. I mean, this is some food for thought, right? So why don't we send out our data, get it processed, and pay those people money and bring it here and sell it to Sri Lanka?
They sell
Isn't
our own data back to us.
exactly? Isn't this something that we can't do? Don't we have the expertise? We have. And how about the security? I mean, when we can process it here, all that information retains in Sri Lanka. I mean, these are some things for us, the government also to think about. I mean, we have
Yeah.
brought this to their notice. Hopefully, someday they
Something
will
should work.
understand the importance of this. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to make it an open invitation to any other company who would want to have a discussion with Chintaka. because Chintaka's company has already developed this map and related services, I mean, maybe there could be other opportunities for collaboration.
Of course,
So,
definitely.
yeah, so let's see whether someone is going to get connected with you. Hopefully, there's a lot of audience here. And I also know that you have been, after doing all that, you also got involved in developing the ICT industry in many ways. Even today, you are a very prominent member of Federation of IT Chambers, that is FITIs, IT related exhibitions, working with the government. Oh my God. Right? I have seen sometimes your own employees saying, boss haganda naha, because boss is busy developing the industry. And then here now you are in like you are heading the ICT Skill Council uh, as the chairman. So I would like to ask a little bit about ICT Skill Council, because today's topic also is about how ICT could be a catalyst to education, right? And I'm sure even your personal journey is around that.
Yeah.
So a little bit about history and the journey of ICT Skill Council.
Right. The education and the ICT Skills Council was started in 2015-16, and that was started as a ADB funded project under the Ministry of Skills Development. The
Okay.
main objective of this was to increase the digital adaptation of the country, and we wanted to make ICT reachable to all go to the grassroots level. Then building bridges with the ICT educators and the industry. I mean, there was a big gap there. So that is something that we were looking at. Making ICT vocation education more industry relevant, because you ask this question. We say we have no employees, but the employees say they have no jobs. So why is that?
There's a
What
gap.
you There's a gap, right? What we learned or what they learned, can they go to the industry and can they land a job? So there's a
True.
big gap. So that is to address that only the ICT Skills Council was set up, and then also to bridging the ICT skills gap of the nation, right? And encouraging innovation. So these were some of the few things that we really looked at. Then also to tell a little bit about the ICT Skills Council. ICT Skills Council consists of the industries or the major companies are members of the ICT Skills Council. Then
Okay.
we have the industry bodies, FITIS, SLASCOM, CSSL, BCS, the Institute of Engineers, all are members of the Skills Council. Then we have the government bodies like the Technology Ministry, the ICTA, Skills Ministry, Education Ministry, the Treasury. All of them are members of the Skills Council, and all of these people that I mentioned are board directors of this company. Then of the Skills Council. Then we have the government training arms like the TBEC and the NITA. They are also board directors. So tell me any other single organization or an entity in the ICT industry that consists of all these people. And we all meet at least once a month
I'm
for the
glad.
betterment of the
I mean,
industry.
I'm sure there would have been so much of struggle to put them all in one basket. At least this way.
Let me put it this way: it's not my own effort. I
I
mean,
know, as a
it's a
team.
collaborative effort. It's a team effort. I mean, there was a lot of people who worked hard, and end of the day, this is what we came up with. So, I mean, I would say it's a collaboration and it's a collective effort the by the industry, by the industry bodies, by the government bodies, and all the training government training institutes.
Yeah, amazing. So I can see, great future in terms of where all these institutions are talking to each other, so that there will be a day where we should be able to fill whatever the gaps that we are talking about. So Chintaka, just to know the numbers, what is the demand for skilled workers in the ICT industry? And how about the supply?
The demand, I would say one is quantitatively and the other one's qualitatively.
Qualitative.
Yes. Quantitatively, I would say uh, for a year, including the private and the government universities, we have roughly around 7 to 8,000 graduates who are coming out, who are passing out. But the industry requirement is over 20, 22, 23,000. So you can see the shortfall there, right? So
Yeah.
there's a severe shortfall there. And I also will address this in two different angles. One is the professionals, I mean, who become coders and system analysts and all that. Then the other sector, I mean, is the ICT users. ICT users. Because they use ICT to enhance their career. Right. So that is also a very important area that we should not neglect. So then that sector is mostly filled by the vocational sector, right? So on the vocational sector, there is 28,000 students who every year take to ICT. Every year taking 28,000 to ICT. But I'm ashamed to say this, less than 10% of these people are employed by the industry,
Industry.
ICT industry.
What
So
happens
this
to
is,
the rest? They go to other industries.
they go into other industries, they find other jobs, then they find this is not the job for them. I mean, there is a big soft skill issue there too. So I think we'll discuss about the soft skills later on, because I see that soft skills also has a major role to play there. So
So
there
you were,
is,
yeah,
yeah,
you
go
were
ahead.
also talking about the quality. Now you talked about the quantity. So there's a
Yes.
quality gap as well.
Exactly. So exactly. Now, when you take a person from the vocational sector, can you immediately employ them? Can you expect what you expected to get done in the job, right? Can you immediately
Yeah.
employ the person and expect that? So these are the
Yes.
things, qualitative things that we have to think about. So I mean, these are not things that we can't change. We can change, but that is why we are there for.
So Chintaka, can the Skill Council be happy about the progress so far? For last 5 years maybe.
I would say yes. Why I say that is because we were mainly focusing on the vocational sector earlier. In the last few years, we have mainly focused on the vocational sector. But today, being from the vocational sector, now we have expanded into the other areas, or we have extended to the other areas. So we have now gone into secondary education, we have gone into university tertiary education, and we have even gone to industry level. What kind of industry training is required? So from big data to all that. So we have basically gone from vocation not to I mean, not just only vocational training, but all the entire scope from secondary education to the university level. This is what we are now focusing on. So when you take the ICT Skills Council, there are five different main focus areas that we do. One is on the policy and the advocacy, right? So what do I mean by the policy and the advocacy? We are supporting the ICT curriculum development in the vocational education, because we have to tell them. I mean, sad to say, some of this NVQ level 3, 4, 5, I mean, some of those curriculums are outdated. So we are the industry, because we can't blame the educators, because educators do not know what the industry required. So we
Yes.
have to tell them exactly what the requirement of the industry. So that is where we make the syllabus according to the requirement of the industry. The second thing is supporting the national competency standards.
Framework. Yeah.
Yeah. Then setting the ICT skills development policies, we do. Then supporting the government initiatives, policy making and relating to ICT skills. So all that is on the policy advocacy. Then we also get into training and development. So on training and development, we are going into training train the trainers in the vocational education. Then we get into student training and development. We then get into professional training development. We get into career guidance for students, which is very important, because they do not know what are the opportunities that are available in the ICT sector. Then we also go into facilitating ICT careers for youth. that is internships, then on the job training. So this is something very interesting. If you are on NVQ level 3, 4, and 5, you can get the on the job training. So you know what how to apply what you learned, right? Maybe as a graphic designer, maybe as a networking technician. So you can get the job on the job training. Then the national graduate program. That is another thing that we are involved. The fourth one is the international affiliations with the other countries to exchange ideas to bring the local talents to the international level. So this is another thing that we are working on. The other thing that we are working is releasing periodic ICT workforce studies, right? Workforce surveys and the gap analysis reports, because gap analysis is important, because unlike most of the other industries, our industry keeps on
Moves fast.
changing, moving very fast. So maybe after 1 2 years, what we learned is obsolete. So we
Yes.
have to find out what are the current requirements. So we have to go with times. So this is why a gap analysis is very important. So these are some other work that we do at the Skills Council.
I can imagine with maybe some of the bureaucratic organizations, slow moving systems, changing policymakers. What a uphill task that the ICT Skill Council has taken over. But whether it is fast or slow progress, I'm sure the progress is taking place. That's the most important thing. Yeah.
And
So
also
yeah.
working with the government, you have to understand from where they come from. I mean, you respect them because they have certain guidelines to follow. I mean, so taking all that, because we are the industry, we want to take and run. We don't have time, right? So but working with the government, I mean, there are certain restrictions that they are also governed by, so we have to work with them. But it has been interesting. I have learned a lot.
You have to work with a lot of patience. Yeah. So Chintaka,
And persistence, I would
yes,
say.
please. Yeah. Yes. So what kind of support is provided for outstations, maybe, just to know a little bit more? Yes, we sometimes feel, I know it is unfair to think that Colombo is well advanced in terms of ICT. Yeah, we see the industries around, but then in terms of these institutions and the children or the youngsters who are studying, even though they are in Colombo, Narahempito, whatever the place, they may not be in par with the industry. But let's look at outstations. What kind of support are you providing to outstation kids as the council?
Mainly the outstation, we go with the training and development. That is train the trainers. That is the teachers. Then student training and development programs. Then we do career guidance for students. So these are some things that we do. We have been doing in the past, but with COVID, I mean, there are certain restrictions that we do have. But then there is online education. I would say one of the biggest challenges that we had was to take technology to the grassroots level. But that opportunity has risen now with COVID, right? I mean, there was no Zoom, there was no Teams, there was no online platform. So today, all those online platforms are there. So we can train the teachers, we can train the students, we can do career guidance. All that we can do remotely. So I would say this is an opportunity. And then facilitating the ICT careers for youth. I mean, then the on the job training. Because today, let me ask. I mean, that we might be having a lot of people in the industry. Do you know in the vocational sector which institution? I mean, from Colombo to Maharagama to Jaffna to Batticlegot, you name it. If there is, I think, thousand odd institutions. If you want to get an employee, do you know where to get them from? So this is what we are working with the skills ministry to get these people, get these students proper placements, job placements, so that they can get that experience that they should get.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that we have been doing. Of course, we are working with limited resources. So with the
Yes.
limited resources that we do have, because one thing also we got to tell you, we have basically about 20 odd board directors. None of these board directors are working for a salary. We are all volunteers because we love our work and we have a passion towards the industry. So none of us, we devote all our time not for a single cent, but to give back to society and to see that the industry benefits.
My respect to all those directors who are actually putting an effort here for the future. This is towards the younger generation, towards their future growth. So let's say hi to few of our uh, participants here who always come here. So Savindu says, great conversation. And we have Dhammika Vijayaratna, congrats Chintaka. And Dr. Lasit is asking a question, Chintaka, from your experience, what is your opinion on soft skill level of fresh undergraduates? What are the strengths, if any, and what are the key weaknesses that have to be addressed? I'm sure, Chintaka, you can answer this not only from the skill council point of view. I'm sure you are also a top IT employer and you work in the industry, in Federation of IT Chamber, you name it. So you can give a very holistic answer.
I will start with the positive thinking on soft skills because I mean, when people come for an interview, they ask, "What will I get?" Why don't they ask what this is what I can do, and then ask what can you give? I mean, so this is the first thing that I would like to start with, right? And the attitude is very very important. Positive thinking a part of it, right? Communication skills, I mean, when you come, how you communicate, I mean, that is very important. I mean, sometimes, I mean, when people come, they think that they have to be very fluent in English. Not so. If you can communicate, if you can get across your idea, it doesn't matter whether it's in Tamil or Sinhalese, right? That's
True.
what matters, right? But we think that, I mean, we have to communicate in English, so otherwise it's a black mark. No, I mean, if you can put your point across to another, that is what is communication, you see. So I think communication skills are very important. The body language, how to face an interview. I mean, this is something that we did. I forgot to mention. We go into these vocational sectors. The newly passing out graduates, we take them and we tell them this is. We take the industry also. Maybe about 10 companies are there, and they will do their first interview with these companies, and they will know how to face an interview. So this is what we have been doing. So this is important, how to face an interview, and then also to dress smart, right? When you come, dress appropriately, right? So that is also important. So I mean, there is a lot that we can talk about, I would say. I mean, these are some of the points that we have to pay attention.
Highlight,
Hi.
yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Chitak, you were talking about other members. What are the other skill councils and how does ICT Skill Council work with them? What kind of collaboration are we talking about?
ICT Skills Council also works with three other main councils. One is manufacturing, other one is tourism, and the other one is construction. Now you might ask, Amita, why these three industries?
Yes.
These three industries are the industries that employs the most number of people in this country, other than agriculture, of course, right? So now these are three verticals that we have. So, working with the manufacturing, there is three other different subsectors in under manufacturing. There's plastics, rubber, so on. So there is 23 subcategories. In construction, there is
Okay.
they employ quite number of people, and the tourism. So we work those. These are the three other skills councils that is available that today. So what we try to do is we try to be a catalyst, or we try to empower them in those industries using ICT, because today, whether we like it or not, ICT is a life skill, right? I mean, it's like I mean, if you have English, you might be able to land a good job, right? But now the next consideration is, are you ICT savvy or IT savvy, right?
Yes.
So that has
True.
become a life skill. So to any of these areas, construction, manufacturing, tourism. So what we try to collaborate, but we have also told them is we will be a catalyst. we will come and work with your industries. Tell us, because we don't understand that industry that well. I mean, if you look at manufacturing, there are computer designing, for example, right? But that is a part
Yeah.
of computer. So let's work together. Tell us what are your pain points. So this is another advantage that we have working with the skills council, where we can collaborate with the construction and manufacturing and the tourism skills councils and provide them solutions using
So
ICT.
going back to today's topic, how ICT could be a catalyst to education, I can see that in all these industries, ICT is a enabler. It enables the person who is working there.
You are spot on, Amita, because when I say enabling, now I'll tell you a very classic example. As COVID started, I mean, during the COVID, most of these skills councils that I mentioned, they know how to get Zoom, right? How to conduct some of the programs. So then we, like the guys, we went and told you, okay, there's something called Zoom, there's something called Teams, this is how you conduct. So exactly, we were enabled to them. I'm just telling you a very simple example, right?
Yeah, yeah, true.
So these are things that we can really help them.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you. And we have Muhammad Fairuz who says, great conversation. Thank you, Muhammad. And my next question, what is your, we have few more minutes to, yeah, maybe 5, 6 minutes to complete 1 hour. So one of the questions that I want to ask you, what is your advice to a young ICT graduate who wants to get into entrepreneurship? Now, entrepreneurship also is a buzzword around. People are thinking about working for themselves. There are a lot of freelancers. So they say, don't do a job, do your own thing. So if somebody wants to be on their own, let's say, call it entrepreneurship or freelancer or solopreneur or whatever you call it, some advice from your side.
I would say start small, dream big. This is my advice to anyone who is starting out. Start small, dream big.
Big.
And
Yeah.
yes, sometimes, I mean, we all want to be entrepreneurs, but 80% of the entrepreneurs who get started fail. Why? It's very important to understand why. That is because just because you have a knowledge on one area, that does not mean you become an all-rounder, right? To be an entrepreneur, you have to be an all-rounder. You got to know banking, you got to know the foreign markets, you got to be able to market your product, you got to have the technology. So there is a lot of different areas that you have to consider. So this is experience. I mean, for me, I mean, I learned little by little. I mean, no, in 1 or 2 days, I couldn't be an entrepreneur, right? I might dream to be there, but it took me some time for me to understand, right? Understand the markets, understand the need of the people. What problem am I solving? What steps should I do to implement these? So there's a lot of things. Think of all that and then become an entrepreneur. You can be. I'm not discouraging anyone. Anyone can be an entrepreneur, but have a little bit of the out of box thinking. And again, start small, dream big. You can be
Starts.
where
Yeah.
you want.
So I have another question which will take you back to our original conversation. What was the impact of COVID-19 in the ICT sector, in the industry? Did it decline? Did it grow? What happened?
I would say it's an opportunity. Let's look at everything as an opportunity, right?
Yeah,
I'm not talking about the deaths and all that. I mean, it's very sad to hear about all that. But then,
of course.
as an industry, I think we started looking at life differently. We looked at the different opportunities, because I would say there were great opportunities in the ICT sector, because there was digitalization, there was automation, right? Then even platforms, something like Zoom and Teams and all that platforms never would have got so popular if not for COVID, right, Amit?
Yes,
Right?
of course.
Uh, that I mean, there are things that we can't change. So I mean, no point worrying about it. But there are things that we can change. So let's think about those. Development on the line of learning, work from home concept, right? We thought work from home was for people who were lazy and all. But today, no, it totally changed, right? So now we have to work from home, right? Then the demand increase for IT and communication products. I think the laptops, hardware was selling so fast. So many people who wanted headsets. I can remember. I mean, there were times. I mean, we were dispatching so much of headsets from Sala. I mean, our business were doing quite well because people were going for online education and for work from home. So the demand increased, right? So I think so is for education, right? Maybe for software, the demand increased.
Yes.
The increase for local products. I mean, there was a demand for our local products. But then all
E-commerce.
e-commerce, yeah, e-commerce, right? There are so many popular websites that now, I mean, before COVID, I don't think we went and bought anything on the internet, right? But today, I mean, even our grandparents knows how to buy certain things on the internet, right? So this is how they
Tell
change the
me
game.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And now with that also there are certain import restrictions, right? So these are some things that's hindering the growth of the industry. So this is something that we have to also be careful. My personal observation is we as the ICT industry could have done so much more to the citizens of this country, right? Have we done enough? Because now, for example, there are certain countries when a person comes to that country, they are given a geo tag or they are given a small, I mean, not a
Device.
wristwatch, something to monitor them, and I mean, they are free. I mean, they are using technology. So like that, there are so many solutions that we could have come up with, but have we done it? So I think, like you correctly said, I mean, ICT can be an enabler. So there were many things that we could initiate, but have we initiated it? So this
Yeah.
is something for us to think about.
Long way to go. Yeah.
It's a long
So,
way to-
Chitika, of course, Dhammika, a comment from Dhammika again. A lot of new developments were came to market, and also a lot of job opportunities were created due to COVID-19. Yeah, as much as some sectors had to let them go, but ICT, especially ICT industry, started recruiting more, I would say. Yeah. So with that, we have come to the final question. Now, you yourself has, I would say, built an empire. Right? I mean, you have built a brand. See, it is so overwhelming to think about. You wanted to name your brand, your company, uh, with the name of your village that you came from. Sometimes people forget from where they came. So Sala is representing Sala. That's a great thing. If you have passed Avisavela, you would know where Sala is. And then today, you are also helping youngsters, younger generation, and the future generation by way of collaborating with a lot of industry organization for a very long time. I have known you for a very long time, at least minimum 10 years, and I know you have been probably I know sometimes your own employees complain that you are not there when the business needs you, but you are busy in some industry event or something like that. So that's the kind of commitment that you give. It's not only about you, but it's all about giving, looking after the society and the stakeholders. So, what is your advice, maybe personally in life as well as business? There's an audience there. What is your advice?
The formula that worked for me, and I believe will work for many, would be 80% hard work, 20% luck. So
Okay.
80% hard work, definitely. You have to work hard to get to wherever you want. And you need a little bit of luck too. So 20% luck. So 80-20 formula is the thing that got me where I am. So I would say to anyone who's listening, that is the key to success. And also never give up. Never give up.
Okay.
Be always a
Okay.
fighter.
So
Be
Chintaka,
always
so if I don't put that 80%, will my 20% luck work?
just by that luck, it will not work. Go and buy a lottery. So I think you need that 80%.
Yeah.
With that
And
80%, you also need the luck. Sometimes we work very hard and we say, I mean, not work hard, work smart, right?
okay.
So we have to work hard, but also smart.
Thank you, Chintaka. So we had our discussion with Chairman ICT Industry Skill Council, also the Managing Director of Sala Enterprises. And as we do in every episode of my talk show, we always give a book courtesy of Pick a Book. So please visit www.pickabook.club. So I don't pick a winner, but I pick a good comment and one of our participants, and then pick a book courier self-help book to that participant. So this week I picked Douglas Alliston simply because you came and showed us, who you are, even your qualities, and then your gratitude towards your first job. And then I was so happy to see, a former boss and a former employee talk to each other, saying hi to each other. So congratulations, Douglas. You get a book courtesy of Pick a Book. Please inbox your home address as well as your mobile number. And we have uh, Prasad Sanjay, very happy and very proud to work with him for 22 years since 1990. So Mr. Prasad Sanjay is a director of Sala Enterprises who has started working there, and he's there for 22 years. These are great stories. I don't know, Chintak, whether you are going to write a book or not, but then a lot can be written if you start writing a book. So thank you very much for coming and adding a lot of value to our audience, enlightening us on a lot of things, and especially about your organization, your journey, and what the ICT Skill Council is doing. And I hope a lot of people would collaborate with you, with your team, to take this journey forward. Thank you very much, and I would ask everybody to stay safe. Chintaka?
Thank you, Amita, for inviting, and thank you for a lovely audience.
Okay,
Stay safe.
take care. Stay safe.